Remakes. When it comes to a lot of remakes with movies or songs or even video games, usually they are soulless cash grabs. The company is ready for your money only to hit you with the reality. Remakes can be some of the worst pieces of media we can consume. And when one is announced, it's like the company is saying, "Don't worry, we have no ideas." I think everyone has been burned by a remake at one time. A property you love, cherish, and desire to have more of is turned into a soulless and empty version of what it once was. It gives you an angry and an empty feeling at the end of it. I love it, however, when the filmmaker or the designer cherishes the world, the characters, the story as much as you do. Sometimes, a remake can be a better version of that movie or a video game. Take, for example, Little Shop of Horrors. Little Shop of Horrors isn't necessarily a remake of the 1960s version, but you mention Little Shop of Horrors to anyone, most likely they're going to think of the one that you're referring to as the Frank Oz one. When a remake is great, everyone benefits. Take the new One Piece. Old fans aren't insulted, the original anime now has more people watching it than ever, Netflix gets money, and a series can actually get a season 2 for once. But alas, sometimes we have a remake that can fly under the radar. Sometimes that's due to the nicheness of the property, or just bad marketing. And there's one reimagining that no one, and I mean no one, talks about, and that is 2009's Astro Boy. Astro Boy is just one of those movies that no one, and I mean no one, talks about this. It's another one of those rare Japanese-American remakes that is just really, really good and pays close attention to the source material and improves it in some ways, in my opinion. If you don't know, Astro Boy, it was originally a manga from the 1950s, and it has been brought to life through tons of different anime iterations throughout the decades. Astro Boy is probably one of the most recognizable anime faces of all time. Even if you have never watched or read it, you probably know those two spiky hair points. For myself, my first introduction was through the 2009 movie, and then I began to read the manga after this and watch the different iterations. For me, I don't even remember the movie coming out, just that my dad took me after school to it one day. As a kid, I thought that this movie was pretty awesome. It had a lot of stuff that I really liked, especially coming off of Iron Man from the previous year. It was like a kid version of that movie. Astro Boy is just another one of those box office bombs that nobody talks about, lost and forgotten to the span of time. It had a $65 million budget, and it only brought back $45 million. As a result, it shut down its studio and was forgotten about quickly. So with that being said, I just wanted to take a minute to talk about what I personally liked about it and its flaws. For starters, it's a CGI cartoon. Now, usually when companies try to remake a Japanese anime, they always go for the live action approach, which has worked. Speed Racer, One Piece, and Alita Battle Angel, but usually live action anime adaptations are very, very bad. So to see this just be a CGI animated film is a big welcome, and that goes for the character designs. Astro Boy did take a lot of the designs and change some things for an American audience, but the changes aren't very drastic. The only issue that I see is that the animation is a bit all over the place. Sometimes it can be beautiful and have some amazing art, but other times it can look dull and boring. But luckily, when the animation isn't the best at times, the voice actors are carrying this movie when they can. Freddie Highmore, Nicolas Cage, and Samuel Jackson are just some of the cast here. In my opinion, everyone here does a pretty decent job. And one of the most surprising standout performances is that of Nicolas Cage. I think that Nicolas Cage has an underrated talent for voice acting, and he could be used even more.
Here, right here. All your needs will be met.
I'm hungry!
In a minute!
But even if you have a lot of great voice acting talent, that's all worthless if the story is trash. And here, it's a bit mixed for me. I do enjoy the movie, but I think that for the most interesting stuff in the story, it's placed at the beginning and then once the final battle starts. There's a bit of a light side and dark side push and pull here. Dr. Elephant discovers that there's a star fragment and creates a powerful source of energy from it called the blue core, but there's also a bad energy called the red core that stems from it. They plan to use it on one of the new robots, the Peacekeeper, but plans go south once Toby is killed. And I think that this is all done super well here. The distress and the sadness that his father Tedma faces from the loss is handled so well. In the original manga, Tedma sells Astro off to Hamig after he cannot fulfill the role of his original son. You never felt that loss in the original manga, but here in the movie, it's more subtle. Every time Tedma looks at his replacement, it just reminds him that his actual son is gone and never coming back. It's told the same as the manga technically, but it's very different in tone.
He was meant to replace Toby. But every time I look at him, it just reminds me that Toby is gone. And he's never coming back.
I also love the part when Astro is starting to discover his powers, and the score is just amazing. Once Tedma sends Astro off, it goes into a standard typical kids movie. Nothing harmful here, but pretty forgetful. All of what I personally enjoy in the middle of the story are basically all of the Easter eggs, like how the creator of Astro Boy, Tezuka, is seen multiple times throughout the film, or how Astro is in his black and green shorts as well as his red boots. I like that they were able to utilize almost all of Astro's powers throughout the film, from the little things to the more ridiculous.
I got machine guns in my butt.
If I had to pick out what my favorite thing though, it is the music though. It's just sublime in the entire movie. Astro Boy is one of those remakes that I feel has been forgotten about as time has gone on. While I don't think it's one of the best movies ever made, I think that it should be remembered for how well it remade Astro Boy without it trampling on the original manga or anime. Anime adaptations can be accomplished when you faithfully follow the source material. Astro Boy should not be forgotten, and it should be added to the list of successes like Speed Racer or One Piece.
So now that I've discussed how remaking something can be great and awesome, I think it's time to start remaking myself a little bit. Hey y'all, Scott here. Rebranding, am I right?